Buddies. Hey, it's Concert Buddy. Coming up in today's video, got a short one for you, but hopefully a sweet one. Going to share some information I have if you are like me and trying to track down the side projects that Mr. Taylor Hawkins contributed to outside of Foo Fighters in light of his recent passing. And on top of that, I'm going to talk about one of my favorite record stores that I like to shop both in person and online, called Dusty Groove, based in Chicago, Illinois. Had a lot of great experiences purchasing from them, and hopefully as I give you a rundown of their online presence, you too can make the same claim. So I'll see you in a second. All right, buddies. Well, I think if you are like me, even a week later, a week removed from this terrible news about Taylor Hawkins passing away, I know that it's actually affected not just the vinyl community, but the music community at large in a big way. And you know, you hear a lot about what a sweetheart the guy was, obviously a talented musician. Even my chiropractor, when I went for an appointment recently, was asking me about it. So, you know, Taylor Hawkins definitely going to be missed. But obviously with that, you know, I've seen a lot of record stores this week, you know, get some fresh new stock or reissues of the Foo Fighters to, you know, help, I guess, the fans cope with this terrible loss. And it got me thinking, because Taylor obviously did a lot more than Foo Fighters. Foo Fighters was his main bread and butter, but you know, obviously started with Alanis Morissette and her band, and he actually had a couple different side projects. From reading the different obituary stories or tribute stories in the press over the past week, you know, it kind of struck me that there's a lot that was kind of being glazed over. And in today's like media culture, a lot of like copy and paste, not attributing prior sources. So a lot of regurgitation of the same kind of notes. But, you know, Taylor was in a great cover band called Chevy Metal. I saw them in 2019 at the Napa Bottle Rock Festival. I had heard about, you know, them doing a lot of like club shows in Southern California. Sometimes Dave would sit in with them. So I was super pumped to see that performance. And then, you know, I had a side project called Taylor Hawkins and the Coattail Riders, which I think if you did like a quick Google search, you could see that they put out a couple different releases. This is the 2019 release, Get the Money. As you can see, it's still sealed. I didn't just go and pick this up. I just literally had shelved it with my Foo Fighters stuff and then forgot about it. And obviously in light of recent developments, maybe you want to break this out and give it a listen. But this isn't the only release that he put out with this group of musicians. 2010, there was another release that he put out that's actually one I'm trying to track down. I thought it had a good lead on it. I thought Acoustic Sounds might have had it. They at least were advertising that they had low stock. Order in, literally almost immediately order canceled. So that's a bummer. So that's one I'm hoping to try to track down in the near future. Given that these are released, I think this label is called... Shanabel Records, which I don't know a lot about them. Probably a private label. It might have been something that Taylor himself funded. I'm not 100% sure on that. So the odds of these being reissued anytime soon, probably very slim to none. Obviously the Foo Fighters catalog is, you know, see it in your local record store, top to bottom, their catalog being available in light of this terrible news. But Chevy Metal really wasn't talked about in those stories. I alluded to a little bit about Taylor Hawkins and Coattail Riders, but one that I wanted to share with you guys is that he was part of this, I guess, another side project called The Birds of Satan. This is a self-titled release, 2014. You can actually find this one, I think, again, in light of this unfortunate news. I think some stock has come available from distributors. I know if you look on Discogs right now, I think it's a reasonable, I think a $20 record from, I think 1, 2, 3, 4 Records, who I've talked about on the channel before. They have a plethora of options available. decent recording. Like, I've listened to this before. My copy's a little beat up around the edges. I got this used, but if you're trying to track down some Taylor music outside of the Foo Fighters, this one, again, go to Discogs. I'll probably have a link in the description below and make it easy for you. But, you know, $20, why not? Especially you can, you know, just hear how good of, not just a drummer, but the guy had he could really sing. You know, if you ever went to a Foo Fighters show, like a lot of us have, you know, he would sing, you know, Somebody to Love and Under Pressure. He's a big, you know, Queen fan, clearly. You know, him and Dave would switch. He'd sing and Dave would play drums. So that was always a great piece. So future of the band, obviously, to be determined. Like I said in my last video, I would not be surprised if Dave did other things for a minute, but, you know, we shall see. But I'm very thankful and very appreciative of the times I did get to see the Foo Fighters, and just what a powerhouse musician Taylor was. So just bummer all ahead. Okay, so for the second part of this video, something I wanted to share through my VC contributions in these videos is talking about record stores that I've been to. Hopefully I have some footage to share with you guys as I kind of like remember to do those sort of things.
I've got one! I've got a special purpose!
But the one I want to talk about in today's video is called Dusty Groove. They're based in Chicago, Illinois. They're actually in the Wicker Park neighborhood, which actually has a couple different record stores like Reckless Records and Sugar Records. So if you're ever in Chicago, there's this dearth, a bountiful selection of record stores to check out. But if you're in Wicker Park, you can literally hit 3 within a couple blocks of each other. So that's always awesome.
Hi, I'm Maurice. I'm an executive by day and a wild man by night.
But Dusty Groove is fantastic in a sense if you like jazz. That's kind of like their wheelhouse, or at least they try to make it their wheelhouse. Great jazz selection. The reason I became familiar with them outside of shopping them in person when I went to Chicago was their online site is, well, for a while was literally one of the best ones I had used and frequented, right? Like, obviously Discogs and eBay, the online options are plentiful, but some stores do their online retail presence a lot easier, a lot more conducive to the shopping experience than others. And I've talked about that before in other videos. There's like the distributor model that a lot of stores use, indie stores use, that is, you know, kind of like cookie cutter and easy to use. And I don't know a lot about it in terms of how execution happens. My assumption is if you order something through localstore.com and it has that distributor website, it ships from the distributor straight to you, I'm assuming. But I will say, personally, I like stores that are able to flash some used. Used is kind of my bugaboo. It's my favorite part of digging for vinyl. And if you're doing it virtually, online, I love stores that are able to facilitate that. And some stores can and some stores can't. I get it. It's a big ask because particularly with so many SKUs, so much selection and imagery, it can be a big haul. But Dusty Groove, to their credit, has done a fantastic job of, I mean, I would say for at least 5 years, maybe longer than I've been shopping with them online. They do a great job of being turning their inventory over. I think they update the website a couple times a day. What I'm going to try to do is I'm walking through my experiences with these stores online. I'm going to kind of try to stick to the same group of criteria, and I'm not going to, this isn't a Yelp review. I'm not trying to like give them a 5-star scale or anything, but I'm going to try to stick to some common variables so it'll help you or help anybody watching this who's interested in checking them out, kind of understand what you're getting into as you're opening yourself up to that experience. So the first thing I would say would be selection. And Dusty Groove does a nice job of having new stock, but also used stock. And they do a really nice job in terms of if you see something on their site, particularly used, you purchase it, it says just sold out, so it pulls it right away. So you don't run into those issues where you buy it and somebody else buys it and then it's who bought it first. And you know, sometimes that can happen through e-commerce. So Dusty Groove, as soon as you buy it, pulls it, it's yours. The ease of website is something that's really important to me. And some sites and some stores that particularly own their own e-commerce experience, their user experience, if you will, do a better job than others. And Dusty Groove does a great job. It's easy to search. It's easy to read about the description of the record. They do a good job in terms of their grading is very consistent. You know, if it says very good, you're getting a very good record. If it says near mint, you're getting a near mint record. So there's consistency in how they grade, because sometimes that can be within the eye of the beholder, right? Price is obviously paramount to any kind of purchase, particularly one that you're doing sight unseen through an e-commerce platform. And I will say Dusty Groove is not a place you're going to get a bunch of steals and deals. I think in some areas they are fairly priced. In other areas, like when it's something very rare, to their credit, they set the price really, really high. Like I said before, they have a focus or a speciality, if you will, when it comes to jazz records. So you're going to see a lot of like old Blue Note, Rudy Van Gelder cut pieces. You're going to see a lot of rare reissues, Japanese releases, that sort of thing. So as I've been immersing myself in that genre of music in the last 18 months, there's been a lot of pieces that I've just missed out on just on timing. I've seen them on the site, and it's been something in my want list and gone, right? So I think I'm not the only one using the site. I'm sure others watching this video may be familiar with it. So I'd say price is not too high, not too low. I think it's just right. In terms of packaging, a very important variable when it comes to buying records online from an indie shop, they do a great job. They use quality mailers. They actually insulate the package. They wrap it in an inner sleeve, or I guess an outer plastic sleeve, and then they put in some brace material inside of their packaging. They have, last time I ordered from them, they have a corrugate box that folds in, so it's actually not corner to corner when you ship a record. Like if you're looking like a traditional white LP mailer, you know, from Bags Unlimited or one of those, a lot of times those come truly fit to form, and that's where like the damage can happen in transit. Like they can leave the store in great shape, but unless it's handled carefully, and if you do media mail, it's literally, you know, it's like the wild, wild west, right? You don't know what you're getting. So I just love when stores actually put a little extra credit and a little extra effort into using just an oversized carton that actually can protect, like a whiplash mailer. That's what I ship my stuff out of when I'm selling records, because I like to know that if a package is mishandled or handled poorly and a corner is jacked on the box, that doesn't necessarily mean that the record is going to suffer that punishment too. So great job on packaging at Dusty Groove. And the last thing is turnaround time. You place an order, sometimes stores can sit on it for a few days. I know some stores that I actually like shopping with for selection. Sometimes they don't ship my stuff for like a week, which is kind of a drag, right? You know, because obviously in today's culture, like we can't really wait. We're being conditioned with Amazon and those sorts of services that, like, you know, turnaround time is super important. So Dusty Groove does a nice job of, you know, orders complete. Depending on what time of day you complete the transaction. Obviously, if you do something right before they're closed, they're not going to pack it and ship it. But at turnaround time, they usually give you a tracking number within like 2 to 3 days tops. And depending on where you are, again, they're in Chicago, Illinois, which being centered in kind of the middle of the country helps if you're going East Coast, West Coast, North, South. So it's kind of geographically centrally located. So that helps in terms of, I'm assuming most people use medium mail. I strongly suggest anything that you buy that's over 50 or 60 bucks, you should seriously consider priority, because it just protects you, protects them. And conveniently, I think the post office handles those packages a little bit more delicately than medium mail, which is like pizza box, frisbee time. I mean, I've seen my Nest camera. It's literally insanity. So turnaround time, another great thing when you deal with Dusty Groove. So that's all I have on Dusty Groove. But if you like this kind of stuff, let me know in the comments. I'm going to continue to feature stores I've been to and experienced, both in a physical sense and from their virtual or e-commerce selling platform, just to kind of share my experiences so you can also have a more robust and more developed record collection.
Real friends don't drag you down. When someone starts leaning on you, get help from a real friend like me, Mr. T.
So appreciate you watching. As always, if you get the chance, just spin it. I'll see you next time.
Well, well, well. How the turntables...
Well, we out of time.